Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta and Chelsea player Callum Hudson-Odoi have both tested positive for the coronavirus. Arteta, 37, became the first confirmed member of staff of a Premier League team to contract the disease, which was officially labelled a pandemic by the World Health Organization on Wednesday. News of Arteta's diagnosis came less than an hour after the Premier League announced that this weekend's fixtures would still be played as planned. He and the entire first-team squad and coaching staff will now be self-isolating in accordance with the most recent government guidelines. Chelsea announced Hudson-Odoi, 19, had tested positive of the COVID-19 at around midnight and say the training facility in Cobham, Surrey will be partially closed. Chelsea staff, who had recent close contact with the winger, will also self-isolate, the club said in a statement. The player posted a video on Twitter this morning, thanking fans for their good wishes and confirming he will be self-isolating. He said, "As you may be aware, I had the virus for the last couple of days, which I have recovered from. I am following the health guidelines and isolating myself from everybody for the week. Hope to see everybody soon and hopefully be back on the pitch very soon." Earlier today, Prime Minister Boris Johnson chaired a meeting of Cobra Emergency Committee in which he refused to ban mass gatherings or shut schools, despite saying many loved ones will die during the escalating crisis. Arsenal were due to play Brighton on Saturday, but the South Coast club announced this evening that the match is postponed. It is understood Arteta did not come into contact with Olympiacos owner Evangelos Marinakis, who also tested positive during their Europa League game on February 27th. There are over 590 confirmed cases of the virus in UK and 10 people have died from it so far. Nearly 5,000 people have died worldwide, and the numbers of cases have shot up to over 130,000. The Prime Minister today branded the virus the worst public health crisis in a generation and warned that many more people are going to die, but still held off drastic measures. At a press conference in Westminster, Mr. Johnson formally declared that the UK's tactics have shifted from containing the killer disease to merely delaying its inevitable spread after he chaired a meeting of the Cobra Emergency Committee. Mr. Johnson said it was clear the disease will continue to spread around the world and people should brace for the reality of severe disruption for many months. The government's new plan urges anyone with even mild coronavirus-like symptoms, a persistent cough, or a fever to quarantine themselves at home and to sleep alone if possible and stay at least 2 meters from relatives. The Prime Minister has also recommended all overseas school trips to be cancelled, while people over the age of 70 or those with pre-existing serious medical conditions have been told not to go on cruises. But he stopped short of more extreme measures such as closing schools and banning mass gatherings, which have been adopted in Ireland, Norway, France and Italy in an effort to stem the spread of the virus. Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon said this evening that Scotland was shutting down public events that have the potential to have an impact on our frontline emergency services. Mr. Johnson said the UK will not close schools yet, even though government advisors admitted the move would help stem the outbreak. Advisors say the length of closure necessary to make the measure work could be more than 16 weeks and would at this stage therefore not be feasible. Chief Scientific Advisor Sir Patrick Vallance also said today he believed the true number of infections was likely to be 5,000 to 10,000 already. He estimated that UK was 4 weeks behind the trajectory of the crisis in Italy, which has brought the country to its knees. The peak of the outbreak in the UK may not come for 10 to 14 weeks, the experts said, suggesting it will run into June. As a result of their manager's diagnosis, Arsenal's upcoming fixtures look unlikely. The club is now attempting to track down anyone who has had close contact with Arteta. The club is now attempting to track down anyone who has had close contact with Arteta in recent times. It is widely expected that Chelsea's next two games against Aston Villa on Saturday and Bayern Munich on Wednesday in the Champions League will no longer go ahead. On the other hand, Juventus player Cristiano Ronaldo has not been infected with the coronavirus despite being held in quarantine in his native Madeira, the president of Portuguese Islands has confirmed. The Juventus superstar will remain at home while the fear of infection is still high, with Italy on lockdown. Ronaldo's teammate, Daniele Rugani, became the first Serie A player to contract the illness, with Paulo Dybala also reported to have tested positive, information Juventus has reportedly denied. Juventus Football is currently activating all isolation procedures required by law, including those who have had contact with him, the statement insisted. Juventus Football Club is currently activating all isolation procedures required by law, including those who have had contact with him, the statement insisted. Juventus trained earlier on Wednesday, although it was unclear whether Rugani was present. The team's rival on Sunday, Inter Milan, also said it was suspending matches until further notice, saying the club is currently taking steps to put all the necessary procedures into place. The outbreak of the virus has led to a nationwide lockdown in Italy, where soccer and all other sports have been suspended until April 3rd. However, Juventus is scheduled to play French club Lyon at home in the Champions League on Tuesday, a contest now up in the air. Italy's number of virus cases soared again on Wednesday to 12,462 infections and 827 deaths, numbers second only to China. However, the death toll from an outbreak of coronavirus in Italy has jumped in the last 24 hours by 189 to 1,016, a rise of 23%. The World Health Organization declared the outbreak a pandemic as Italy tightened its strict quarantine and the United States imposed a ban on flights to Europe. More than 4,900 people have died and over 132,000 have been infected globally, according to World Health Organization.